Welcome everybody back into Nerd Sesh. As always, I'm Carson Brabert. Alongside me is Logan Camden, and today we are doing a bracket to decide the greatest NBA team to never win a championship. I am fired up about this one. Are you fired up, LC the Kid?
I'm geeked. I'm geeked up.
I think this is the most excited I am for any bracket that we've done yet. It's still a relatively new format here at Nerd Sesh, but I just love this one. I love the conversations we're going to get to have today. And before we get into the bracket, I want to explain what the criteria was for this bracket, because we're ranking the best teams to never win the title, but there's a lot of ways that you could define that. You could say, okay, the best individual teams who just that season didn't win it all, and that would include teams who in the midst of a dynasty just didn't win that one specific season, like the 2016 Warriors or what have you. Some of the Celtics and Lakers teams of the 80s, great teams, didn't win that year, but won plenty of other rings around it. That's not what we want to do. We really do want to rank the best teams that did not win a title. And so to be on this list, the team cannot have won a title within 3 years of this season, either before or after. And on top of that, if the core of a team is essentially identical to a team that did win a title, even if it was more than 3 years apart, they are not included. There's really only one example of that, of a team that otherwise would have qualified that we disqualified because it doesn't feel right to have them here, and that is the 2008 Pistons. Other than that, the significant thing is that they cannot have won a title within 3 years on either side. There are no repeats on this list unless the core is significantly different, and that's a judgment call. So what I mean by that is we don't have the 05 Suns and the 06 Suns and the 07 Suns, but if there's more distance and if a lot has changed in terms of the roster, we will include, for example, the 2000 Pacers and the 2004 Pacers, the 03 Mavs and the 07 Mavs. And I know the Mavs are an interesting team to be included here at all because they did win a title in 2011 with Dirk. However, that roster was so dramatically different from the one in 2007, so dramatically different from the one in 2003, that I honestly view those as three different cores, three different windows, and the through line is just Dirk Nowitzki. So that is how we are defining teams that did not win the title in terms of their eligibility for this list. And in terms of qualifying, these are the teams with the most wins between the regular season and the playoffs not to win the title. That's how we selected this pool. That's how they are seeded. And once you go beyond wins, then the next tiebreaker is win percentage, and then the next tiebreaker is net rating to determine where exactly these teams fall. We have 36 teams here because I wanted to bring back the play-in format, so we have sort of a first four deal before the full first round. Was that motivated largely by wanting to get two Chris Paul teams on this list? Absolutely, and I will not hide that fact. And I will say, for teams that played in a shortened regular season, their win totals are adjusted to 82 games, so that's how we make the adjustment for them, obviously not having as many raw wins. Anything you want to add, Logan? Any queries?
I'm just pumped, man.
Me too,
we talk so much about champions. We talk so much about MVPs. These are the overlooked guys, the runner-ups.
Yeah.
I'm excited to dip our toes into a new realm. Actually, I say dip our toes. We don't dip our toes into anything. We're diving head first, man. We're putting our whole body in the water.
We are diving in deep, and we are starting with that play-in round, as I mentioned. Also, the last thing that I should mention is, as always, we are judging these teams relative to their era. We are judging them based on how great they were relative to their competition. We are not theoretically envisioning, oh, what if the 2013 Grizzlies played the 1981 Bucks? We are just thinking about how great they were in the context in which they existed. That being said, that is our first play-in matchup. We have the 32 seed 2013 Grit and Grind Grizzlies against the 1981 Bucks. Who do you like here, Logan?
See, I'm conflicted here because I think the Bucks were clearly a better regular season team. They were top three in terms of offense, defense, and net rating, but they get bounced in the first round, admittedly by a very good 76ers squad that goes.
It is the Eastern Conference semifinals because they got a bye in the first round at this time.
Yeah, they go to 7 against that team. It's like the Grizzlies have such an impressive path to the Western Conference Finals. You know, taking out a really good Clippers team, taking out the team that just went to the NBA Finals the year previous, the Thunder. They do get swept by the Spurs, but it's an impressive run. Like, they take down 2 big dogs in the first 2 rounds. I don't know, man. I think the 81 Bucks team was better for their era, but it's kind of hard to pass up the Grizzlies' playoff resume. I think I lean the 81 Bucks here, but this is a good Memphis team.
I agree that the 81 Bucks should move on here, and I do just want to talk about the Bucks of the early 80s for a second here because there's actually one more 80s Bucks team on this list. They were so damn good so consistently, and they just get overshadowed by the fact that the East of the 80s was so stacked with the Celtics and the Sixers, but this was a 60-win team that was top 3 on both sides of the ball, that had a +7 net rating, and I do think the advantage for them is the fact that they were an elite defensive team, just like Memphis was an elite defensive team, of course, when you think about Mike Conley and Tony Allen, and of course, Defensive Player of the Year, Marc Gasol. The difference is that Memphis offense was below average. I mean, it was a slog for them to score. They played very slow. They were 17th in offensive rating. They were a below average playoff offense. So the defense was great, but the Bucks defense was also great. They also had a Defensive Player of the Year, not this season, but in Sidney Moncrief, who would actually win 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards. They had another elite defensive perimeter player in Quinn Buckner, and they did have an explosive offense to go with that. Marcus Johnson was a high-level scorer at this time and a solid playmaking forward. And just the totality of scoring talent they had with Junior Bridgman and Bob Lanier and Mickey Johnson, who was a pretty good playmaking big forward at this time. Brian Winters, a good shooter down this roster. So I would lean on the 81 Bucks here. And I think the playoff resume for the Grizzlies is impressive for sure. But when it comes to the Bucks losing in 7 to the Sixers, it's like that was a 62-win team. And that was a team that then lost in 7 to the eventual champion Boston Celtics, who also won 62 games. Like, the East at this point was just ridiculously stacked. And so I think losing that close to such a great team that was coming off of a finals appearance, that would make the finals again the year after this, like, I think it should be the Bucks. I think they were the more balanced elite two-way team. So if it's cool with you, let's keep them moving. Really good team, those 81 Bucks. Now, our next round, Logan, our next matchup in the play-in round, the 2024 Timberwolves up against the 0-2 Nets. Who do you like here?
I think I want to go with the Wolves.
Yeah.
I just, the Nets get to the finals. They get swept by the Lakers. Like, I just think the East was really, really weak at this time. And these teams are pretty similar in the sense that, they're pretty mediocre regular season offenses, elite number 1 defenses. But I just feel like there's more actual offensive firepower with the Wolves. And, like, they get bounced by a good Mavericks team. I think they could have won that series. But, like, the fact that just in a vacuum that the Nets went to the finals doesn't really tip the scales to me in their favor. I just think the Wolves are the better team.
I agree. I think the difference really is the offense. I do think that, as you're saying, I mean, the Wolves just had more offensive firepower with Ant and his ability to elevate as a playoff scorer at this time, with Cat, who played really well for the first 2 rounds of this playoff run. And this is just such a deep team, man, when you're talking about Jaden McDaniels and Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert anchoring the defense, of course, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Naz Reid. Like, that top 7 was awesome. They had a bunch of lineup versatility, and they were like a historic defense this year. The Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Rudy Gobert combo, they really ate alive a Denver team that was coming off a championship and we were viewing as the best offense that we had seen in some years. And the Timberwolves snatched that chain. Also, them sweeping the Suns at that moment in time was more impressive than it gets remembered to be, because like, the Suns were 8-0 in the regular season with KD, and people thought they were going to make a deep run, and the Timberwolves just gave that offense hell too. So I do think they're even the better defense. I think they're the better offense. I think they have a more impressive playoff win than anything that the Nets did, because as you're saying, it was just such a weak East at this point in time. Like, they really didn't beat a very good team en route to the finals, and then they got their ass handed to them in the finals. So let's go with the 24 Wolves here. I definitely think that they are the better squad. Now, our next play-in round, I mentioned I was looking out for my boy CP3 here. The '08 Hornets up against the 1986 Bucks. So we have another Sidney Moncrief Bucks team, but like everything around him was different, which is why this team was eligible along with the 81 Bucks, because now you're talking about Paul Pressey, Terry Cummings, Ricky Pierce, very different team. Who do you like here, Logan?
This one's pretty even. I think I lean the Hornets, and I mean, the biggest thing is it's just like Chris Paul doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Like, I just think Chris Paul is the best player between these two teams. I think this is a really well-rounded Bucks team, but you got David West, you got Peja on the wings. Like, this is a really good Hornets team too, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to lean on the Hornets because I think they have the best player in this matchup. Like, this is just Chris Paul damn near the peak of his powers. So I think I'm going to lean on the Hornets for that reason.
I will say, this 86 Bucks team, man, almost a +9 net rating in the regular season. And once again, elite on both sides of the ball, fourth in offensive rating, second in defensive rating. And once again, the team that they lose to, I mean, this time even more so, is an all-time great. Now, they did get their ass handed to them by those 86 Celtics, but that's one of the very greatest teams that we've ever seen. I am conflicted here. I do think this is really close. I probably lean on the Bucks team again here. I mean, Chris Paul is definitely the best player on either of these teams. There's no question about that. He very arguably deserved MVP this season. And I do like this Hornets team. I do. I mean, they had some good complementary players on both sides of the ball, and they were a very strong two-way team as well. I just feel like the Bucks were a little bit better on both sides of the ball in the regular season. I don't hold their playoff loss against them that much because it was to such a great team, even though, again, they did kind of get their asses handed to them in that series. But I could go either way on this one. I don't have strong feelings. I do really like this Hornets team, man. I wish that they had just come like 5 years later. I wish that David West had come into the league at a time when there was like a premium put on big shooting threes, because he obviously could have done it. And then they had Peja, and they had Mo Peterson. Chris Paul was starting to shoot the three at this point. They're an interesting team for sure. I probably lean on the Bucks, though.
I mean, these are both two really good teams.
They are.
I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind going with Milwaukee. I think this is a really good two-way team.
Let's push our agendas for the 80s Bucks, man. I mean, they were some good teams, and yeah, there's a lot of talent. I mean, this team especially offensively, just a lot of dudes who could score the basketball. Ricky Pierce, one of the better sixth men that we've seen. Terry Cummings was a very good scorer. And Moncrief, again, the through line between these two teams as that sort of high-level two-way anchor. I will also say, just to give the Bucks a little bit of an excuse, Moncrief was banged up in the last two rounds of the playoffs. So I think, considering they have the better regular season resume and then their best player wasn't fully available in the playoffs, I think we give them the nod. Okay, wow. The 2025 Pacers, the team of destiny for a time, the Devil Magic team, led by the Halliban, up against the 2014 Clippers. Who do you like here, Logan?
You got to go with 25 Pacers, man. They got to Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
Wow. I don't know if I agree.
Fuck the Clippers.
Oh, hey,
look,
whoa.
Man, I wanted to get Chris Paul, so they didn't even get to the Western Conference Finals. The Clippers can frankly fuck off.
Oh, hey, whoa, hold on a second here. I mean, let's contextualize the West that we're talking about.
The Pacers
they
got
lose.
To Game 7, and the Devils snatched Hallie's Achilles.
I understand. and it was brutal. And you know how much I love this Pacers team. And there's no doubt they were a better playoff offense than this Clippers team. But the Clippers did lose to a 59-win Thunder team. Like, the West was so tough at this time. This was a historic offense in the regular season. And they've got two players who I would argue are better than even my beloved Tyrese Halliburton.
Shaq,
I mean,
get a load of this guy.
Chris Paul, there's no question. Blake was also awesome this year.
Load of this guy, man.
Blake was third in MVP voting this year, lest we forget. And yeah, their role players were always kind of fake come playoffs. Jamal Crawford always kind of stunk it up, and Matt Barnes did the same. And JJ Redick wasn't that great in the playoffs for this team. But just the Blake
he was
and
splicking shit.
CP3 and that pick and roll attack, man, and that transition attack, while they were also a top 10 defense, I think they're the better team.
Bruh!
Honestly, on both sides of the ball.
Get a load of this guy!
Why are we hating on the 2014 Clippers? It was a historic offense, man.
7, man. I'm not tripping on this one.
He did, for sure. But also, like, the East that he went through is not comparable.
Okay.
To the West that the Clippers were
If the Clippers
had
got to the Western Conference Finals, I would hear something. They didn't.
But they lost to such a great team. I mean, we just can't like make that the bar.
Machine, man.
And the 2014 Clippers offense was an absolute machine.
They were making 13 threes a night at a 39% clip, man.
Dude, the 2014 Clippers are a top 50 relative offense in NBA history. And then they went into the playoffs and they were still a top 3 offense, and they just fell short in a very competitive series to a great team.
If you're in a shootout, you don't want to run into the Halliburton. Give me the Pacers.
I think we might be at a full-on standstill here. We might need to do some sort of rock, paper, scissors
We're at a
or something.
stalemate, bro. The Clippers
even
never
though I
made
love
the Western
the Pacers,
Conference Finals.
Logan, the 2025 Pacers wouldn't have made the Western Conference Finals that year.
How do you
They wouldn't
know?
have beat that Thunder team.
Dude, we thought that the Thunder were going to, bludgeon the Pacers, and they took them to 7. That doesn't matter to you.
It does matter to me. I think they're a great playoff offense.
Let's do a thought
I also
exercise.
think the context of who they faced
right?
matters a lot. Okay?
Which Thunder team was better, the 2014 Thunder or the 2025 Thunder?
Both teams lost close.
Don't do this.
So I think the 2025 Thunder were a little bit better than the 2014 Thunder.
How many games did the 2025 Pacers take that Thunder team to?
This is not how things work.
It's
There's
logical,
an entire
it's rational,
season.
And
I'm looking at the entire body of work and not distilling it down to one team lost in 7 and the other team lost in a close 6. Therefore, the team that lost in 7 is
Pacers
better.
are better, man. Pacers are better.
I mean, the Clippers easily could have won that series, man.
Built to any matchup.
All right, let's do rock, paper, scissors.
No!
Dude! The
Push
Clippers
Hallie
were
through.
awesome.
Hallie did not lose his Achilles for this, man.
He is a fine man. He is a fine individual.
This is why I wanted Chris Paul to go in the last round.
But this is a much better Chris Paul team. This is a much better Chris Paul team than the 08 Hornets.
Dude.
This team was filthy, bro. And, there's definitely an argument for the Pacers because they were so good down the stretch. And they were really awesome in the playoffs, obviously.
McConnell had them boys shook.
Listen, bro, it was the beautiful game. It was the beautiful game brought to life for sure. Play fast, share the rock, beautiful. Offensive threats all over the floor. But the 2014 Clippers were so awesome. And the Pacers were able to become a solid, I would say even pretty good playoff defense.
They're a cult classic basketball team, man.
Personnel was not as good. I mean, the Clippers defensively had Chris Paul and they had Matt Barnes and they had DeAndre Jordan. I think they were a better defense on top of being a historic regular season offense. See, we're going to keep trying to convince each other and failing. That's why I think we have to go to rock, paper, scissors. But you're undefeated in rock, paper, scissors against me. I don't even know how the game works.
That's a lie. That is a lie.
Well, it could be true. There's no way of knowing. Let's play. We'll go on shoot, okay? Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right, both went rock. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Both went scissors. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay, this is great stuff. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right, both went scissors.
How? What are the statistical odds of
The
this?
basketball gods just want this to be a tie, man. I want both these teams to advance. I love both these teams.
Are we gonna go 7 games on rock, paper, scissors?
Tiebreaker is going to be net rating. The Clippers were a plus 6.5 net team. The Pacers were a plus 2.2 net team. Next tiebreaker is going to be win percentage. The Clippers won over 66% of their games. The Pacers won under 62% of their games. Just referring to the facts for a moment. All right, here we go. Round 5. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Ha ha! No! Yes. I mean, I hate to see Hallie go. I do.
No, you don't. You're
of course
a jackass.
I do. Hallie's like one of my favorite players.
Game 7 of the finals, and this guy's talking about the regular season.
I'm also talking
Get
about
the fuck out of here.
That the East in 2025 and the West in 2014 are not remotely comparable.
I am protesting the results of this tournament.
All right,
you're going to
Logan's
be hearing from my lawyer.
A word with the committee. That's fine. I'll talk to your lawyer. It's the same OJ
Scrap
guys,
that
yeah?
episode.
What do you got? Fucking
Scrap that
Mr.
episode.
Kardashian over there. Dude, it's all right. They're both going to lose next round anyways. That was just the play-in. Pretty exciting play-in, though. Contentious. All right. Now we go to Logan's favorite team, led by his favorite player.
Don't do that. This is your boy.
Jazz.
This is your boy.
What? No. Chris Paul's my boy.
You
Hallie's
love.
my boy.
What was that big fucker with the glasses?
Who are you talking about? On what team?
The Jazz. He was
Thurl Bailey?
Was that bald fella with?
Yeah, Thurl Bailey's the one with the goggles.
You're a big Thurl Bailey guy.
I do like Thurl Bailey. He wasn't on this team though. Not at this point. Good player though. I'm gonna say the 1997 Jazz advance. Over the 1981
Thinking of
Bucks.
Antoine Carr.
Oh, Antoine Carr also did have goggles. That is true. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm voting for the 97 Jazz because Antoine Carr has really cool shades.
All right, that's super valid. Now, this is one of my favorite matchups. We get the 03 Mavs, who are the 16 seed, against the 07 Mavs, who are the 17 seed. So just to remind people of what the deal is with these two teams, the 03 Mavs, top 20 relative offense in NBA history. They were the number 1 offense this season. This is the Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki Mavs. This team won 60 games in the regular season, lost in Game 6 in the Western Conference Finals to a Spurs team that went on to win the title. The 07 Mavs famously won 67 games and then lost to the We Believe Warriors in the first round. Where are you leaning between these two, Logan?
03, because they didn't get freaking embarrassed, and they also have Steve Nash, and this offense was sick and gnarly, and they went deeper in the playoffs. So, yeah, I think this is just 03 Mavs clear.
I agree. And, in fact, even in the regular season, the 03 Mavs had the better net rating. I just think this offense was so preposterously good. Like, when Nash and Dirk played together, they just engineered some of the greatest offenses in NBA history. The shooting this team had is absurd. And even the supporting offensive pieces like Michael Finley and Nick Van Exel were awesome, especially in the playoffs. Like, both those guys were giving you close to 20 points per game on good efficiency. And also, Dirk shit himself in 07.
True.
And Josh Howard was his highest scoring teammate. And, like, that team had good supporting talent, too. Jason Terry and Jerry Stackhouse and Devin Harris. But I do think these teams are similar defensively. One offense, to me, was more dynamic. One offense held up better in the playoffs. And the Steve Nash factor does matter. So I think the 03 Mavs advance here. And now we are on to the 2009 Magic. They're our 8 seed against the 01 Sixers, the 25 seed. Two teams that made the NBA Finals and lost to a Kobe Bryant team. Who do you like here?
This is an interesting battle just in terms of the roster construction, right? You have, with the Sixers, an offensive centerpiece with a defensively slanted roster. For the Magic, you have a defensive centerpiece with a offensive slanted roster. I just think the 09 Magic were ahead of their time and a better basketball team, in my opinion. Like, the Sixers have got a lot of stuff going for them. Like I mentioned, some award winners on this team. AI, giving you 30 a night. They steal a classic game one. But I just think the Magic are better. Like I said, ahead of their time. They shot a lot of threes. You've got a defensive anchor in Dwight that was just a monster, top 5 player in the league at this point. So I love this Magic team. I have a soft spot for them in my heart. Like I really like them, but I also think they're the better team.
They're definitely the better team. Better on both sides of the ball, in my opinion. The formula for both these teams was defense first. And in the Sixers' case, they were just asking AI to carry this huge offensive load and get them to respectability. But the Magic offense was substantially better than the Sixers, in my opinion. Even though they were only 11th in regular season offensive rating, they were a top 5 playoff offense. And like you said, I just love the team construction with like 2 big forwards who could shoot the shit out of it in Hedo Turkoglu and Rashard Lewis. Jameer Nelson had a really good season this year. And so I do think that they're the better offensive team. They also were even more dominant defensively. They were the number 1 defense. And then the path. I mean, they beat a 62-win Boston team, and a team that would have won even more games than that if Kevin Garnett had been healthy for the entire season. Then they go and they beat a 66-win Cavs team, and we can say, oh, that team wasn't that talented around LeBron. Well, LeBron was so great that they won 66 games. Like, to beat back-to-back 62-win teams is such a rare thing in NBA history. And then neither of these teams did very well in the finals, but it's just like the 2009 Magic are having to go through juggernauts in their conference. The 0-1 Sixers are going through the Raptors, who won 47 games and took them to 7. And then they do get past a Bucks team that is a really good offense, but a well below average defense. And that series was really close. I just think it's a different level of talent that you're talking about with this 09 Magic team. And so I think they pretty easily have the better resume across the board. Now we've got another Magic team that lost in the finals. 1995, Orlando is the 24 seed up against the 05 Suns, who are the 9 seed. Who do you like here, Logan?
I like the 05 Suns here. I mean, this is an all-time offense. Like, this is a good Magic team. Young Penny, young Shaq, like, good squad, but, Shaq's not at the peak of his powers. I just think this Suns team was machine, man. Like Nash running the show, Joe Johnson on the wing, spraying shit still there, like Amari. This is a bomb squad. I'm gonna rock with the Suns.
It is a ludicrous offense. It is a top 2 relative offense in NBA history. And by the way, I do just want to shout out all the other Steve Nash offenses that you can find in the top 20, because that does include the 04 Mavs, who are number 1, the 2010 Suns, who are number 4, the 07 Suns, who are number 5, the 02 Mavs, who are number 15, and the aforementioned 03 Mavs, who are number 19. But of all the incredible offenses that we saw with Nash and Phoenix, this was the best. I mean, this team was just so ahead of the rest of the league in terms of their spacing, playing with pace, play finishers everywhere, and then this all-time great shooter and playmaker leading the charge. And what is really insane is, again, they're a top 2 regular season relative offense that we've ever seen. They posted a plus 11 relative offensive rating in the playoffs. Like, it's one of the very greatest offenses we've ever seen, regular season and playoffs both. Now, they definitely left something to be desired defensively, but that's not going to keep them from advancing at this point. I think we have to take the GOAT offense. Although, shout out to this Magic team. I do enjoy talking about all these teams because I just have a fondness for all of them. I like the underrated great teams that never got their flowers because they never won it all. This was a really awesome Magic offense in their own right. I will say Shaq, already one of the very best players in the world, not in his final form yet. But what I love about this team, beyond the fact that Penny was such a unique offensive talent, is the shooting that they had. Nick Anderson and Dennis Scott shooting the shit out of it. Brian Shaw, like, they were very ahead of their time in terms of their spacing as well. But they weren't a great defensive team either, and so if we're picking between the offensive juggernauts, give me the better offense. Speaking of offensive juggernauts, Logan, the 2018 Rockets were that. They are the 4 seed. The 2024 Timberwolves were not that. They are the 29 seed. They were a defensive monster, though. Who Who are you picking here? It is your beloved baby boy, Anthony Edwards, against your nemesis, James Harden. Where do you land?
It's the 2018 Rockets. I feel pretty
Yeah.
strongly. I mean, like they almost beat. They were a regular season monster, but they almost beat the 2018 Warriors. Like, Chris Paul gets injured. Like, for that fact alone, how close the Rockets were against that great of a basketball team, just give me the Rockets.
I agree. The fact that it came down to them missing 27 straight threes without their second best player on the court, and they still came very close to knocking off one of the greatest teams we've ever seen. It just has to be the 2018 Rockets. And I do think that Timberwolves offense was not elite for sure. I mean, they were mediocre in the regular season. They were a good playoff offense, though. And that defense was really great. But I also think we saw in the Western Conference Finals that year, Ant wasn't quite ready as a playmaker yet. Cat just had a really rough series. And so they went out in much rougher fashion against a team that was not nearly as good. I mean, the Timberwolves got beaten 5 by the 24 Mavs, and the 2018 Rockets went 7 with Chris Paul getting hurt against the fucking KD, Steph, Clay, Dre Warriors. So we are going to take the historic offense in the 65-win 2018 Rockets. Now we have the 2011 Bulls versus the 1997 Heat. It's the 13 seed versus the 20 seed. This is nasty defensive basketball from both sides. Who do you like here, Logan?
I'm like 50-50, man. I think these teams are so similar to one another. I'm going to go with the 97 Heat because I think their playoff wins are more impressive. I think it's like Hardaway and Rose are both inefficient in this run. Rose does give you 27 a night still, but to me, their wins are just more impressive. They take down a solid Magic team. They go to 7 against the Knicks, but they beat them. They steal a game from the Bulls. They were never going to win that. But, I don't know. I'm just kind of underwhelmed, I guess, by the 2011 Bulls run. See, I guess I'm just a little bit more impressed with the Heat wins in the playoffs. But like I said, I think these teams are really similar. I'm about even, but I would slightly favor the 97 Heat.
I'm conflicted here. I do think when we talk about the similarities, I mean, Tom Thibodeau would have had a fucking erection coaching the 1997 Miami Heat. I'll tell you what, man. Literally, if you just look at the basic stuff, the Bulls were 11th in offensive rating. The Heat were 12th in offensive rating. They were both number 1 defenses. The reason that I think I might lean on the 2011 Bulls, though, is that was a historic defense, man. I mean, they were so dominant on that side of the ball. Luol Deng on the wings, Joakim Noah as a defensive center who could genuinely do everything. And they were big, they were physical as hell. And then Derrick Rose did his job as the floor raiser for that offense. So, I don't know. I think if we're picking between two teams that have a very similar formula, I do think the 2011 Bulls executed it a little bit better because I do think they were the more dominant defense between the two. And in terms of the offense, I actually think it was rough for the 97 Heat. I believe they were a bottom 2 playoff offense that year. Their defense was so sick that they still got to the conference finals. But I think the Bulls were the more competent playoff offense and the even more dominant defense. So as I talk through it, I do think that I lean on them. Is that cool with you, or what do you think?
Yeah, I don't feel strongly either way. I mean, like I said, I think the Heat, their wins in the playoffs are just a little bit more impressive, but I have no issue going with the Bulls here.
Yeah, that is true. It's tough to kind of hold against the Bulls. They did face 2 super mid teams, and then they went up against the Heels, and they just didn't have the firepower to compete in that series, and it was a real struggle for Derrick Rose. He shot 35% from the field in that series and had turnover issues, so definitely not good out of him and not good out of that offense in the way they went out, but I think overall they were the better team, so we will have them advance to face the 2018 Rockets next round. Now, Logan, the newly eligible 2026 Spurs up against the 2014 Pacers. Who do you like here?
It's pretty easy to me. I'm going 26 Spurs. I loved all and every iteration of these Pacers teams. If it was Danny Granger, if it was Paul George, like I rooted so hard for all of these Pacers teams against LeBron every single year, and then Roy Hibbert just crapped his pants in the biggest stages.
You really do hate Roy Hibbert for that.
Spurs got to the finals, had a lead in every finals game, like the Wemby factor. I think it's pretty clearly the 26 Spurs.
I do want to shout out that this would just be a sick defensive battle because we are talking about two of the best defenses that we've seen this century in terms of relative defensive rating. The 2014 Pacers are 9th in the play-by-play era, and the Spurs of this year, I believe, are somewhere in the top 25, but as a playoff defense, they were even more dominant than that. And when Wemby was on the floor, they rated as like one of the very greatest defenses in NBA history. I do think that they were also the more dynamic offense, though. I just think this Spurs team's so physically and athletically imposing on both sides of the ball, and historic defense that was also the number one offense in the NBA for the second half of the regular season. They knocked off a dominant team without AJ Mitchell and J-Dub. That does matter, but nevertheless, beating that Thunder team is so impressive. And the 2014 Pacers, they gave a good fight to the Heat for sure, but like the difference in offensive talent just can't be overstated. We're talking about two historic defenses, but one team was the number 4 offense in basketball. The other team was the number 23 offense. I mean, it was a slog for those Pacers teams offensively, and I think that held them back from ever being like a real title threat, whereas the Spurs were a very real title threat this year, and if not for some of the biggest clutch disasters we've ever seen and De'Aaron Fox shitting himself on national TV over and over again, they probably would have been champs. So I think this is a pretty easy advancement for the Spurs. Now, we have another Pacers team, seeded 21. That is the 2000 Pacers, who lost in the finals to Shaq and the Lakers, going up against the 2012 Thunder. Who do you like here, Logan?
Yeah, I feel pretty strongly this should be the 2012 Thunder. The Pacers are cool. They were the number 1 offense in basketball this year. Like, I don't want to just completely dismiss them, but they didn't ever really stand a chance against the Lakers, and the Thunder path is really impressive this year. Sweeping Dirk, taking out Kobe's Lakers in 5. They take down the Spurs in 6, and then they lose to the Heatles, but that's a really great team. So, yeah, I think it's pretty easily the Thunder. I think the Thunder have a chance to... I don't know. They've got a tough matchup ahead of them. I think the Thunder have a chance to go pretty far in this bracket. This is a really good team.
Yeah, I do love this Pacers offense. I mean, you're talking about Reggie Minion still giving you in the playoffs a super efficient 24 points per game. Jalen Rose has a nice run for them as well. And this was an awesome offense, but a mediocre defense. I look at the Thunder, and they were an awesome offense. They were a better defense. They do have the more impressive playoff run. They do have absolutely the best player between these two teams, and Russ was also really good at this time, and James Harden was just such a unique offensive weapon off the bench, and the rim protection of Serge Ibaka, like, this was just such a talented team. And as you said, I mean, they beat the reigning champs. They beat the champs who would win. Well, in 2 years, the Spurs would win, but they almost won the next year. Like, this team was awesome, and I do think more impressive than the 2000 Pacers, who ultimately got through what was a not-so-great East. I mean, they beat a 50-win Knicks team in the conference finals. It's just not as impressive a team. So we will move on with the young Thunder Big Three that was not, unfortunately, in terms of winning a title. Now we've got the 96 Sonics against the 86 Bucks. I do want to shout out the 90s Sonics and the 90s Jazz as well, because they're the top 2 seeds. We're limiting this to 1 spot per team. Both of those teams had so many groups that would have qualified, though, just like so many elite teams, and of course never won a title. But I think this is easily the 96 Sonics. Logan, where are you at?
I completely agree. They
will advance with ease. Now we have the 94 Knicks against the 2025 Cavs. This is the 15 seed versus the 18 seed. Who do you like here, Logan?
Yeah, I feel pretty strongly it should be the Knicks. Like, it's unfortunate for this Cavs team, as we have always talked about on this show. You know, the Cavs get hurt this year. I mean, but they lose in 5. The Knicks get to the finals, get to Game 7 of the finals. You know, Patrick Ewing may have had a dud of a series, but it's like they got there. This is an elite defense. I think it's pretty clearly the Knicks.
Yeah, it is a historic defense in New York, one of the very greatest defenses that we have seen in the history of this game. In fact, this year they posted a negative 8.1 relative defensive rating. Like, you are talking about Patrick Ewing, a defensive monster, Charles Oakley, John Starks, Anthony Mason, just so many high-level defenders on this team, Derek Harper. And even though they were a middling offense, like, the defense was so dominant that it did get them to the brink of a title. And it got them through an East that wasn't the strongest, because obviously MJ was out of the picture this year, and they actually still went 7 against that Bulls team without him. But I think we go with the 94 Knicks. Although I will say it's tough with the Cavs of last year, because it just feels like we never got to see it fully materialized with them. And they were a historic offense in their own right. And, like, they did win 64 games, man. And they're the number 18 relative offense in NBA history. And in that regular season, one of the greatest pick-and-roll offenses that we've seen. And Kenny Atkinson wasn't talking about imaginary outcomes yet. He was just cooking shit up. And Darius Garland was so electric. And the play finishing bigs and the shooting that they had, and Ty Jerome just lighting shit up. And then you get into the playoffs and it's like, ooh, Ty Jerome got his powers taken and Darius Garland gets hurt, so we'll never really know. But I just think you'd have to be pretty optimistic about the Cavs to take them here. And even though they didn't really get a fair shot, they did go out ugly. So even though I like them, this is the ultimate offense versus defense, but the defense translated in a big way to the playoffs for the Knicks and the Cavs. I mean, I'll tell you what, though. They lit that Heat team on fire. They said, Tyler Hero, come take all these buckets. And that's something. You know, they had a historic offensive rating in that first-round series, but then the team of destiny got them pretty good. So I think the 94 Knicks should advance. Now, the 2021 Suns, they narrowly earned the spot over the 22 Suns, who won 64 games, but then got humiliated by Luka and the Mavs.
Fucking disgusted. The 25 Cavs lasted longer in this tournament than the 25 Pacers. What kind of shit does that make?
Yeah, that's not right. That shouldn't be the case. But it's the bracket, man. The bracket likes the 64-win Cavs with their fucking plus 10 regular season net rating more than the playoff rising Indiana Pacers. But anyways, we have another Central Division team from this year. It's the 2026 Pistons up against the 21 Suns. Who do you like?
This is easily the Suns. This is a really damn good Phoenix Suns team. They go up 2-0 to start that series against the Bucks. There's such balance to this roster. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton, Jay Crowder, like, this is a really good basketball team. The Pistons had a fatal flaw, and that fatal flaw ended up costing them. Like, there's a really good defense, destructive defense at that. The offense was always going to leave them hanging. The Suns were on the cusp, on the brink of winning a championship. So give me the 21 Suns. This is a really good team.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just the offense that holds the Pistons back here. They did lose to a Cavs team that had a very lackluster performance in the conference finals. And, I mean, this is an amazing, amazing defense that we're talking about. But the problem is they just had so many offensively limited players. Asar Thompson, one of the greatest defenders I've ever seen, but such a funky player to work around offensively. Jalen Duren obviously just shrunk offensively in the playoffs. And then you go down the roster and they just don't have the ball handlers, the creators alongside Cade. Cade really struggled with turnovers in this run. And so ultimately, they're just one of the weakest offenses that we're going to see in this bracket, whereas the 2021 Suns were a very balanced, very good two-way team, had the better playoff showing, so I think they pretty easily advance. Okay, whoa, this is pretty cool. I didn't realize this. we have a matchup of two teams, neither of whom made the finals, actually. In 2004, the Pacers, who lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Timberwolves, who lost in the Western Conference Finals. Again, this is a very different Pacers team than the 2000 team that we just saw, because pretty much everything around Reggie Minion is different at this point, and Reggie Minion is also a lot older. He's no longer the star that he was. This is Metta World Peace, Jermaine O'Neal, Al Harrington, Jamal Tinsley, and the boys. And instead of being a elite offense, this team was really elite defensively. That's where they hung their hat. Who do you like here, Logan?
I think I'm leaning on the Wolves. I just think they have the better player in this matchup. This is the best Timberwolves team that KG ever had, and
yeah,
they do dispatch, like they take down a really good Kings squad in 7. I don't know, this Pacers team is like, they win 61 games. They technically are slightly better in terms of net rating. I'm just kind of underwhelmed by the Pacers. I'm going to take the team with the best player. I'm going to take KG and the Wolves.
Might I suggest you should be a bit more whelmed by this Pacers team, though? I mean, I understand that they don't have the superstar. They certainly don't have a KG.
At this point,
they were a really good collective team, man, and they were an ass-kicking defense. And it's a shame that the Mouse at the Palace happened early that next year, because we don't know exactly what they could have been. But this was a really good team, and I guess the counter-argument that I would pose is, obviously, KG is by far the best player on either of these teams. He's also doing so much heavy lifting, and whenever he goes off the floor, the Timberwolves just suck. Like that regular season, they were a plus 10 net team with him on and a minus 10 net team with him off. In the playoffs, they were a plus 3 net team with him on and a minus 24 net team with him off. So it's like, yeah, when KG's on the floor, give me the Wolves, and when KG's off the floor, they're like the worst team to ever exist. So I'm conflicted here. I don't know. Well, I'm kind of just talking through it. I probably take the Wolves because this was the one year where their offense really translated to the playoffs. Like, they were a top 3 playoff offense because they did have Sam Cassell, who was just such a good offensive point guard, and Latrell Sprewell and the shooting of Wally Zerbiak. Like, I think it probably should be the Timberwolves. They were the more balanced team. In the regular season, they were elite on both sides of the ball. I agree. I mean, that win over the Kings team that they have is more impressive than anything that the Pacers did. So I think I agree with you. I think this is the Wolves who deserve to advance. I just think it's close. And I do want to give the 0-4 Pacers their respect. I will say also for the Wolves, they pretty much only get 2 games out of Sam Cassell in the Western Conference Finals. So if we're talking about teams that didn't win at all, sometimes the team with the excuse is going to get the nod out of me. Timberwolves have an excuse, so we're going to give it to them. But I also think they probably just make the better case regardless. So they advance in the Battle of 2004, and what a battle it was. Now we have the 2009 Cavs versus the 2014 Clippers, the team that Logan so badly wanted to see the fucking bottom of the Pacific. Where do you go here?
I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. I didn't want the Clippers to be here.
Okay. Well, let's not do a whole Eric Bledsoe thing about it. I mean,
I'm leaning on the Cavs just because they have fucking LeBron. Like, this is just such an absurd version of LeBron. Good luck, LA.
It is a ridiculous version of LeBron. I think it's the greatest regular season floor-raising job in NBA history. LeBron was so good that he averaged 38, 8, and 8 in a series that they lost, and people were critical of him. The load that he was carrying on both sides of the ball at this point was just absolutely ridiculous. He was by far the best offensive player and by far the best defensive player on a team that was top 4 on both sides of the ball. I do think the supporting cast can get underrated just because people like to always shit on them, because it's crazy impressive that they won 66 games, obviously. Like, that's just LeBron doing shit nobody else could do. But Mo Williams was a really good offensive player. Big Z was a good offensive big. Anderson Varejao was a really good defender. Delonte West was a pretty good guard for them. So, like, ultimately, I think about the Clippers and I'm like, yeah, they have more collective talent, but also, again, some of their depth pieces let them down. Their offense was awesome. Didn't translate quite in the same way to the playoffs. And so even though the '09 Cavs were ultimately a disappointment, losing to that Orlando team, they did win 66 games and post a plus 10 net rating in the regular season and sweep the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, even though they weren't facing good teams. Like, I think we go with the 66 win team here, and we can leave it at that. But RIP to the 2014 Clippers. You will be missed. Even though at the time I hated them because they beat my Warriors in 7.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great series. And now I'm just a Chris Paul truther. I'm just a fucking propagandist.
I always rooted against them just because I like the Spurs.
Very fair. CP3, though, how about that game winner? Shout out to him. Now, Logan, we've got a matchup of 2 teams that lost in the Western Conference Finals to the Shaq-Kobe Lakers. The 2002 Kings, who perhaps in the mind of Logan Camden did not lose that series at all, and the 2000 Trailblazers.
They should advance. They should win this entire thing. Give me the 02 Kings. I think they're one of the strongest teams on this list.
Yeah, I agree. I think the 2000 Blazers do deserve their credit. That was a really good team and one that doesn't get talked about a lot, but like obviously the '02 Kings very much had the Lakers on the ropes, but so did the Blazers, if not for that incredible comeback in Game 7. Really good two-way team, very balanced in terms of the contributions from Sheed, from Steve Smith, Damon Stoudemire, Scottie Pippen, Arvydas Sabonis. Like, I really like that team, but that Kings offense was just something to behold, and 61 wins, led the NBA in terms of net rating that season. Multiple stars. I think we go with them. And obviously they did get fucked. They really did get fucked because they might have been NBA champions. Whereas the Blazers, they were close, but they did lose it. Legitimate style. Okay, now we've got a couple great offenses of the early 90s. The 93 Suns versus the 92 Cavs, Logan. Couple of Michael Jordan victims, as many were at this time.
I mean, speaking of teams that could win it all, give me the 93 Suns. I think this is another really strong contender. This is an awesome team. Thunder Dan, man, Charles Barkley, like,
yeah.
This is a loaded squad, dude.
Yeah, it's got to be the 93 Suns. 62 wins that season. Historic offense. Go through a West path that includes David Robinson's Spurs and the Sonics. Neither of those teams at their best, but still pretty good stuff. The 92 Cavs, I do just want to take a moment to appreciate. 57-win team, elite offense in their own right. Trailed only the Bulls in terms of offensive rating at that time. And Mark Price, offensive dynamo, elite shooter, elite playmaker, good bigs alongside him. Brad Doherty, Larry Nance as the super athletic forward. Craig Elo could really shoot it. Like, they had a lot of good players. They were a very good team, but this is definitely going to be the 93 Suns. Both these teams did lose in 6 to the Bulls, though, because that's how a lot of teams' seasons ended at this time. All right. Chuck advances. Oh, my God, and he may be playing in San Antonio next round, Logan, because we got the 95 Spurs against the 2015 Hawks here. The relentlessly mocked 2015 Hawks do make the list, but Logan is hitting them with
sayonara. Good riddance.
Yeah.
Give me David Robinson.
Give me David Robinson as well, even though he did have
David
his offensive
Robinson
issues in the playoffs at this time.
Entire roster. He is sunning everyone on that team.
He is. Very well said.
He's given Al Horford fucking...
Yeah. But did you know that the 2015 Hawks had 4 All-Stars? And those 4 All-Stars were Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver, Paul Millsap,
he's shoving Jeff Teague
Horford
in a toilet. He's shoving Kyle Korver in a locker.
Did you know that DeMarre Carroll was pretty good defensively? He was a pretty good 3.
I like DeMarre Carroll. I thought he was underrated.
Did you know that Perontich was on this team? Did you know that
Shout
Mike
out
Scott
stretch
was tatted
big
as fuck on this team?
Perontich.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean,
David Robinson's giving Paul
Spurs.
Millsap titty twisters, and he's giving Al Horford a noogie. Like, he is bullying the Hawks.
Yeah. This is just a David Robinson GOAT factor. I do think the team around him wasn't that talented, but it was the most talented he had before Duncan, because he does have Dennis Rodman here. He does have Sean Elliott. couple of solid guards in Avery Johnson and Vinny Del Negro, but not that talented a team. It's just David Robinson was so goated. He made you a lead on both sides of the ball, and that's enough to get them past the 2015
Just
Hawks.
off name value, man, if these guys played the whole season, can you imagine a rebounding trio in their prime of David Robinson, Moses Malone, and Dennis Rodman?
Holy shit, I forgot that Moses is on this team.
I mean, he's 39, but he
played 17 games. But he was there. Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. All right, so they advance. This episode is brought to you by Ridge. Look at this thing. It's beautiful. This is a Ridge wallet. It's sleek, it's modern, it's effective, it's practical, it's got everything you need, and it looks good, and it's easy to carry around with you. It was the biggest upgrade I could have possibly made when I moved on from my old hunk of junk bulky wallet to this beautiful Ridge wallet. And I'll tell you what, Logan, Ridge is doing their legendary sweepstakes again this year for the 6th year, and this time it's bigger than ever.
That's exactly right, Carson. The sweepstakes this year run from July 24th through September 8th, and Tony Hawk is the official spokesperson this year, so you already know it's going to be insane. 2 lucky winners are going to be able to choose between a Lamborghini Huracan Storado, a Ford Hennessy Velociraptor, a souped-up Ford Bronco, or $100,000 in cash.
If you're ready to upgrade your wallet and maybe your ride, for a limited time only, head to ridge.com and use code NERDSESH at checkout for 10% off your order and a chance to win Ridge's biggest sweepstakes ever, a Lamborghini Huracan Storado, a Hennessy Velociraptor, a Ford Bronco, or $100,000 in cash. No purchase necessary to enter, but every dollar you spend gets you more entries. That's ridge.com and use code NERDSESH. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them our show sent you. And now we are into the round of 16, where the 1997 Jazz play the 03 Mavs. Man.
This is
what do you think,
interesting.
Logan? This is interesting indeed. 2 great offensive teams.
Yeah, I think I kind of want to go with the Mavericks.
Well, of course you do, because
I
the Jazz
bias.
were led by Karl
Yes,
Malone and John Stockton.
I am biased, but like Nash and Dirk, I just think their offense is better. Just like the strength of these 2 teams, I would argue the Mavericks translated a little better to the playoffs.
I do think the Mavs offense is better, but I also think the Jazz defense is better. I do view them as the more balanced
You're a big
team.
Greg Ostertag guy, huh?
It's mostly Greg Ostertag doing the heavy lifting, yeah. Whereas I look at that Mavs team and I'm like, they were a bottom 3 playoff defense. And working around Nash and Dirk, I mean, that was just a team that did not really believe in
Strictly
defense that
bucket.
much, as many Don Nelson teams kind of were. They loved offense. But I think the 97 Jazz were more balanced, and because of that, I think they deserve the nod. Also, the path that they went through, I mean, they beat a 56-win Lakers team with Shaq that didn't have the roster around him yet, but still, they beat a 57-win Rockets team. It was sort of made up of the old gentleman's club at this time with Akeem and Clyde and Chuck, but still a good team. I think it's the 97 Jazz. I mean, they won 64 games, and they did play a very close series against that Bulls team, which they lost, of course, but I think that they deserve to advance here.
So Karl Malone, as we're getting to the finals, matters. Noticing.
Well, no, I'm saying the fact
I'm
that they
just
were a
noticing.
64-win team
I get it.
matters.
I got it.
And I think they lost this series against the Bulls by a total of like 2 or 3 points was the difference. Like, they were just so close. And let's face it, I mean, the 03 Mavs losing to that Spurs team, they could have won that series because that was not the most talented team around Tim Duncan. Although Dirk did get hurt. He didn't play that entire series. So, as somebody who has been advocating for the excuses, there is an excuse for the Mavs. But I still think it's the 97 Jazz. Yeah. Sorry.
Tyrese Halliburton got to a Game 7, just by the way.
I love Tyrese Halliburton. His team also won 50 games and got through a much weaker East than the West that the Jazz got through. It's different. Sorry. Reality check.
Jazz out of here.
Well, maybe somebody can bounce them next round and it would have to be the winner between the '09 Magic and the '05 Suns.
I'm conflicted.
Ooh, interesting.
I want to go with the '05 Suns.
So do I. I say
think the
send them
Magic-
through.
I think the Magic are the better two-way team, but like the Suns' offense is just historic.
Yeah, it is, again, arguably the greatest offense in NBA history. A goated half-court offense, a goated transition offense with a dude who could just get his teammates whatever he wanted, and then when you dared him to be a scorer, he dropped 40 a game on you in the second half of that series against the Mavs. Like, Amare was scoring a super efficient 30 a game in these playoffs. Nash was giving you a super efficient 24 points and 11 assists. Sean Marion was an all-around monster. Joe Johnson was just an insane shooting weapon this year. Q Rich, like, this offense is just unfathomably good at this point in time. Now, I will say they're 17th in defensive rating, and as I said, their offense was incredible in the playoffs. I mean, like, historic in the playoffs, and yet they still lost to the Spurs in 5 games because their defense was just so lacking. I mean, they allow the Spurs to post a 118 offensive rating in the conference finals. Like, that's just crazy. This was a team that had multiple defensive weak points. They didn't have the high-level rim protection. Like, they were slight, they were small, but also all of that skill they had made them one of the greatest offenses we've ever seen. And with Dwight being a limited, very flawed offensive player, and that at times being an issue for the Magic, I think we can push the '05 Suns through if that's good with you. More Steve Nash glaze. Why not? It's what we do here. Now, we got the 2018 Rockets against the 2011 Bulls. I think this is maybe a sweep.
Yeah, give me the Rockets.
That Bulls offense is just too limited. Just too limited to get them through at this point. Because people forget, man, 2018 Rockets were a good defense. They were. It was the one year. Their best offense and their best defense coincided. Fly high. Damn.
Yeah,
I see
man.
why you're making that constipated kind of face, Logan. The 2026 Spurs up against the 2012 Thunder. Hey now, this is quite the battle.
I'm going to say give me the 2012 Thunder. Wemby's doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. This is a good Spurs team, a really great defense. I just think the Thunder path is a little bit more impressive, and then I think their offensive talent is just a little bit too much to overlook. I wish these teams had avoided each other because I feel like they both could have advanced further, but I think I lean the 2012 Thunder here. I would hear an argument for the Spurs, but I lean the Thunder.
I think I lean the Thunder too because, like, I just don't know how to overlook De'Aaron Fox being a terrorist. It's like, all right, that's what happened. And that kept the Spurs from being the best version of themselves that they had the potential to be, but didn't happen that way. The 2012 Thunder were the number 1 offense in those playoffs. Over the OKC years, it is the best playoff run that they got out of KD. I mean, he was extremely efficient as a scorer this year. He kept the turnovers more under control, so he was just awesome. And then you have James Harden, who was such a unique weapon. So obviously, the Thunder are the better offense, and I would say probably substantially so. The Spurs are also the substantially better defense. But I do think I want to lean on the offense here, and I want to lean on the team that had multiple real high-end talents where even with Russ's flaws and some of the inefficiencies and the ups and downs, like, he was a superstar at this point in time. Whereas I look at the Spurs, and as much as I love Dylan Harper, it's like Stephon Castle, inconsistent offensively. De'Aaron Fox, disastrous. Some of their depth pieces got exposed. Keldon Johnson, Luke Cornett. So I think we go with the 2012 Thunder here. But it's close. Wemby makes it close. That defense makes it close. Let's move on with OKC. But that's a tough one, man. It's a tough one because the Spurs so clearly could have won it all. But you know what? Their inexperience did get them. And so in a battle of the young teams, the 2012 Thunder advance. Now, we've got 2 Jordan foes. The 96 Sonics against the 94 Knicks. Who do you like here, Logan?
I like the 96 Sonics. I just think they're the better two-way team.
Yeah. there's a big offensive gap here, and this Sonics team was also elite defensively, and this Sonics team did beat a really good Jazz team, and they did beat the reigning champion Rockets. They swept them. Yeah, I love this Sonics team. I really do. Like Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, hell of an offensive connection, but the supporting talent offensively, the shooting that they had, the playmaking you get from a Detlef Schrempf, and then the shooting of a Hersey Hawkins and a Sam Perkins. Nate McMillan is your backup point guard, one of the best in the biz. Like, just a really good all-around team. And it was a struggle for that Knicks team offensively, and Ewing and John Starks did go out hideous offensively. Hideous. And so even though the Knicks are the historic defense, again, the Sonics were also a top 2 defense and an awesome offense. And they won 64 games for a reason. And they did play a good series against that Bulls team. I mean, they made life hard on them with GP on Michael Jordan. So shout out to him for that. But let's go with the Sonics for sure. All right. Now the 2021 Suns up against the 04 Timberwolves, Logan. Who do you like here?
I like the Suns. Like, I just balance. I just feel like they're more of a real team. No disrespect for the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves aren't that deep. Like, they're very top heavy. It's KG doing a lot of the heavy lifting. I obviously think KG is the best player in this matchup, but you got Paul, you got Book. This is a good defense behind. Like, again, the Suns are just a lot more balanced.
Yeah,
I'm gonna rock with the 21 Suns.
I agree. I think it's what you said. It's the totality of the talent. It is the depth advantage. It is the two-way balance, although the Timberwolves were a two-way balanced team. It's just they were really a one-man team, and the Suns really did have more talent all around. You're getting the best version of DeAndre Ayton, maybe the best version of Mikal Bridges. I mean, certainly the best he was defensively. And then Chris Paul and Book were such a potent offensive duo. I think this team was just very nicely built and got closer to getting it done ultimately. So they shall advance. Okay, now we've got the 09 Cavs against the 02 Kings, Logan. Who do you like here? 260-plus win teams.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same way about this one, the way we did about the last matchup. Obviously, this is a different beast. This is athletic LeBron in his prime instead of KG. I just think the Kings are the better team. I think they've got more talent throughout their roster and better balance. Like, they go to Game 7 against an all-time great team. I think it's the Kings.
I agree. I think this is the Kings. I think this is an amazing offense, and you talk about balance. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more balanced, talented, top-to-bottom team in NBA history. They were so awesome. They were awesome when Chris Webber was off the court, and he missed a lot of time this year. Like, that's something to consider. This team won 61 games, and they were like, this team won 61 games that year, and that was with Webber missing a good chunk of time. They were 19-9 without him. Peja Stojakovic, just an absolute offensive shooting monster at this time. Doug Christie, such a good two-way guard. Mike Bibby, good shooter, good playmaker. Vlade Divac, such a good playmaking big. Like, just the passing and the skill that they had everywhere. Bobby Jackson, Hito off the bench. I mean, they had a couple of really high-level bench contributors offensively. Yeah. Just a lot of really good offensive talent. They played super fast. They moved the ball. Everybody was a threat. And I would just prefer that collective talent. They were also a pretty good defensive team.
Yeah, so Scott Pollard was there,
Scott Pollard was there, that's for sure. That is for sure, Logan. So I think we take the 02 Kings to advance here. The reality is I think that Cavs team was just too limited around LeBron. And I do think you see that in the fact that they fell short to a team that was not as good as the team that the Kings ultimately pushed to the absolute brink. Like, it was a rough offensive series for Mo Williams when they went out. It was kind of rough from Big Z as well. And again, they just didn't have the firepower around him, whereas this Kings team had firepower across the board. So let's move on with the 02 Kings and an upset by seeding there. Now we've got the 93 Suns against the 95 Spurs. I accidentally had the 15 Hawks advance at first because my mind was being controlled by Jeff Teague. or maybe Perontic. I can't say. But this is the 93 Suns for me pretty easily.
I completely agree.
I just think they held up better in the playoffs and more talented all around, like just much more weaponry all around. Again, where the 95 Spurs are more so about one man, the 93 Suns just were a really stellar all-around offense. And so they're going to advance to the quarterfinals. And I have to say, I think we've got pretty much the right group of 8 teams here. We're starting with the 97 Jazz against the 05 Suns. 2 of the quintessential teams when you think about groups that were so good, so consistently, and never got it done. The Jazz for an even longer period of time, of course, because they made the playoffs for damn near 2 decades straight. But the Suns all the way from 2005 to 2010, making several Western Conference Finals, posting several of the greatest offenses ever. I have to say, even though I do think that Suns offense is on another level, even from those Jazz offenses, and like it's silly to hold the fact that the Suns didn't get to the finals against them because the conference finals in several of these years effectively were the NBA finals. I guess you can't say that about 06 because the Mavs did go on to lose to the Heat that year, but they also made the conference finals in 06 without Amare Stoudemire even setting foot on the court. But like the Suns were just going up against such great Spurs teams who knocked them off several times, and they lose to the eventual champ in the conference finals at least twice, and another time in 07 in the second round, which was like the de facto NBA finals is how it kind of felt. But I still think their defense, man, like I understand we're not supposed to broaden the scope here. We're just talking about these individual seasons, but the Suns were a below average defense, a mediocre defense every year. And as amazing as the offenses were, I just think it makes it harder to win a title than a team that is still an elite offense, not at that height, but also
Top
is
10
consistently
defense,
putting
yeah.
together really good defenses.
Yeah, I want the Jazz bounced ASAP, but the case is too logical.
I also want the Suns to advance because they're like my favorite fucking teams to watch ever. They're so cool, but turns out defense does matter, Logan. And so this is the end of the line for some of the greatest offenses to ever exist, and the 97 Jazz will advance. All right, on to our next matchup, James Harden versus James Harden, the 2018 Rockets versus the 2012 Thunder. Who do you like here, Logan?
I'll take James Harden.
Oh, I like that.
And Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Give me the 2018 Rockets. This is a really, really close one, just considering how the Thunder got so close to winning this championship. But again, man, I just think pushing that Warriors team to 7, I don't know if like that should be the be all end all to me, but it's a big deal that the Rockets got that close to knocking that team off.
It is a big deal, rightfully so, because it showed that they had the fucking firepower to go toe-to-toe with a team that great. I also just think they had the better season. Again, 65 wins, a historic offense, and the number 6 defense that year. I get it if it wasn't your thing to watch. For most people, it wasn't. It was the ultimate Harden ball, Morey ball, so much isolation. Everybody just spread out and shoot threes. But man, Harden was so good this year. Chris Paul was so fucking good. Eric Gordon was a really good offensive player for them. And then they had the defense. They had the defense with Ariza, with Clint Capella, with Chris Paul coming in here. And I think it's the best depth they had, the best defense they had, the best offense they had. And if Chris Paul just stays healthy, man, like he was one of the best isolation scorers in basketball this year. He was unbelievable protecting the basketball. He was having a killer playoff run, giving you more than 21 points per game. And it just sucks that he went out for the Rockets' sake, but I do think that they deserve the nod here. I mean, they were 42-3 that regular season when Harden and Capella and Chris Paul all played together. They were 50-5, including the playoffs. Like, I just can't turn that down, even if the Thunder do have the name brand value of the big three that they had. I mean, just when they were healthy, the 2018 Rockets were so dominant, and it was health that got them in the end. You can say it was them jacking up threes or Harden failing in Game 7, but it really was health. Chris Paul, and also them going up against such a great team. So they deserve to advance here. Now we have the 96 Sonics against the 21 Suns. I will say, out of the 8 teams that remained coming into this round, the 21 Suns, I think, are probably the weakest.
I agree.
So I do think that we bid them adieu here.
Good run. Good run, guys.
Really good team, but I think the Sonics were on another level from them defensively.
I think
the offenses were comparable.
Yeah.
Got a lot of weapons, man. Yeah. So the 96 Sonics will advance.
We're going to hit them with the Josh and Alejandro attacks.
But he wasn't Josh. He might have been Alejandro. I don't know. Who's the good for him? Dominating. I guess he was dominating.
I don't know if we've ever seen dominating, but...
Bro, he was drinking his juice. He was hustling on the fucking boards. He was engaged. He cared about basketball because Chris Paul gets people to care about basketball. By the way, I will say, 2 Chris Paul teams in the quarterfinals.
How about that?
One of them is now dead, though. And also, several Suns teams in the quarterfinals. We've got one more of them. Wow.
This is a
the
battle,
0-2 Kings against the 93 Suns. Let's talk through this one, man, because this is really close. Where are you leaning?
I think I lean the Kings, but Suns have just so many great players. Chuck, obviously not at the peak of his powers, but still great. Kevin Johnson, Dan Marley, Richard Dumas, Danny Ainge, Tom Chambers, bro.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's like, dude, Chuck was going down there, not band for band with MJ in the finals, but like he was still giving MJ work in the finals. The Kings get to 7 and get hoed in 7 against an all-time great Lakers team.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I'm at like a 50-50 split.
Yeah, I'm really close on this one. I mean, 2 awesome offenses, and as you're saying, 2 offenses that just have weaponry, man. 2 teams that played fast. Like the Kevin Johnson, Charles Barkley 1-2 punch is just ridiculous at this point in time because KJ had already been leading out top 5 offenses consistently, and then they gave him fucking Chuck. That's a problem. And then you have the shooting of Dan Marley and Danny Ainge playing off of them. Like, whew, it's a filthy offense. And I think maybe the edge in high-end talent is going to lead me to go with the 93 Suns.
I think I'm leaning that way too, man.
But, man, that 0-2 Kings team, again, it really is like one of the ultimate teams in NBA history. But I do think, like, this was the best playoff run of Weber's career, but he did still have his issues in terms of playoff offense. Peja didn't have a great playoff run.
Too. Yeah.
So I think we go with the 93 Suns here, but that's close. Those are 2 great teams, but Chuck and the boys will advance. Okay, now the 97 Jazz, Logan. I know as much as you want to get rid of them, they just keep kicking. Going up against the 2018
Get them out
Rockets.
Of here. Get them out of here. This is where the Jazz meet their end, man, their demise to me. I would take the Rockets.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, when you think about the greatest teams to never win it, these teams are such opposites in terms of how long the window was.
No doubt.
2018 Rockets, I mean, it's really 1 year, and then 2019, they're really good again. But the best chance they ever had was cut short because of injury. The 97 Jazz, I mean, the 90s Jazz had so many different chances, and this was their best iteration. They peaked as a team when Hornacek came into the fold. They peaked as a team when Karl Malone improved as a passer. We are going playoff dropper on playoff dropper, band for band here with Karl Malone versus James Harden, but I think that 2018 Rockets offense was just so incredible, the 1-2 punch of Harden and Chris Paul, and I do think they had the more impressive series even in defeat. And again, 50-5 when their 3 best players played, plus 12 net rating in the minutes that they shared. Like, I just think they're too good. I think they advance. So They will move on. And now, the other semifinal, the 96 Sonics versus the 93 Suns. Shout out to there being 3 fucking Jordan opponents here, 3 Jordan Finals opponents in the semifinals. That's pretty cool. Where are you leaning here, Logan?
I'm leaning the 93 Suns. Like, it's just that the offensive firepower, like how Chuck played in this run. I just like their talent more than the Sonics. These are 2 deep-ass teams, both. I think the Sonics are a little bit better probably defensively, but
they are. But the Suns are better offensively.
Suns, yeah.
That's what I'm trying to figure out here, man.
Because, the Sonics have offensive firepower too, dude. The shooting that you're mentioning, man, of Shrimp, Hersey, Sam Perkins.
I am extremely conflicted here.
I think the Sonics are probably the slightly better two-way team.
Yeah.
But I think the offensive advantage for the Suns is what I'm going to lean on.
That's fair. I think the Suns do have the biggest superpower here with their offense. But then again, the Sonics were a really good offense. And throughout the 90s, they posted a bunch of awesome offenses. And this was the best defense that they ever had. And they did pretty much dominate the West. They went 7 against the Jazz, but they went 7-1 in their first 2 rounds of the playoffs. Whereas the Suns, it was tighter in every series. They even go to a deciding game in the first round. Net rating, the Sonics
that year.
True.
Yeah, and this is without, Shrimp and some of these other guys.
Right. Not the fully realized team yet. I think it's the Sonics.
Really?
I think Chuck is definitely the best player. I think the Suns' offense is the best unit. I think they have more aura. I think they're more fun. But I think it's the Sonics, man. I think they're the better two-way team. I think they actually had the better playoff run overall. It's super close, but that's where I'm at right now. That's what I'm feeling. They were such a good all-around team.
I don't hate it. I'm at this stage where both of these teams are so great.
Yeah.
I could go both directions, but
I will say the Suns were a bottom 4 playoff defense that year. Their defense, good, not great. They prioritized offense for sure.
It's just the fact that Chuck has given you 27, 13, and 6 in the finals, man.
Chuck is an absolute monster at this time. And I will say, I might go back because the thing is, KJ wasn't fully healthy this year. When KJ played, they were 37-12 in the regular season.
I think the Sonics run is more impressive. I will agree with you on that. I think their run is more impressive than the Suns.
I think I might be flipping here just because that Suns team, they were the number 1 offense, but specifically in games that KJ played, I already mentioned the record is insane, and they were better than a +7 relative offense. That is just insane stuff. And then they do have the best player on either of these teams for sure. League MVP this year at an all-time peak. Well, I don't think this is the very best Chuck ever was, but he's just a monster offensively. Yeah. Let's go with the Suns, man.
Let's do it.
It's so close. It is so close, but I think that offense and their dominance when KJ was on the court takes the cake. And now, Logan, 2 teams that were very highly seeded. The 4 seed 2018 Rockets against the 6 seed 1993 Suns. I think it's still the 2018 Rockets, man.
I think so, too. The dilemma I'm having here is the fact that the 93 Suns get to the finals and push the Bulls almost to the brink. They lose in 6. And MJ is at just such an obscene level that it's I couldn't really see anybody beating that Bulls team that got there. The thing with the Rockets is I couldn't really see anybody actually beating that Warriors team, and they pushed them to 7 without Chris. And it's if the Rockets do get to the finals, I think they demolish the Cavs in the same way that the Warriors do.
Absolutely.
That
is, maybe the ultimate example in NBA history of the conference finals being the NBA finals. I know we throw that out sometimes, but it really, really was true that year.
For that reason, I think I'm also leaning the Rockets.
I think so, dude. I mean, should I say it one more time, man? 50-5 when their big three played.
Incredible.
When Chris Paul played, period, 50-8 in the regular season, 11-4 in the playoffs. Like, they were just such a fucking machine, dude. And it was just incredible to have like two offensive guards of that caliber who worked together shockingly well. But it's like when they shared the court, this was a plus 13 net team. When Chris Paul was on without Harden, they were better than a plus 12 net team. When Harden was on without Chris Paul, they were a plus 9 net team. It's just like whatever lineup you saw, you were getting a plus 7 relative offense in a good defense, or a plus 8 relative offense in a good defense, or a plus 13 relative offense. Like, they just had such an elite all-time great offense. And I do think like they were right there, that close to knocking off such a great team, closer than the Suns, and they will forever have the question of what if Chris Paul had played. I think it's the 2018 Rockets. I think they are the single greatest team to not win a championship when we are talking about, obviously, by our criteria.
I don't think people are going to agree.
Who do you think they would take? 97 Jazz or something?
I think the Jazz, I think the Sonics, I think the 0-2 Kings are going to get a lot of love, the 2012 Thunder. I think people may differ. If I had to guess where people differ, I would say they probably flip and take the 2012 Thunder because that team got to the finals.
I just would disagree with that. I think the Rockets were better on both sides of the
I mean,
ball. Well, obviously, I mean, we made our choice already, but like I feel pretty strongly about that. I think this team was an absolute juggernaut, and it's a shame that health got in the way and then it fell apart that quickly. I mean, it's actually not a shame because I'm a Warriors fan, so I'm actually pretty fucking happy that things shook out how they did. But as somebody who also loves Chris Paul, this is a team that very obviously could have won the title going through an all-time great team, and it's unfortunate they didn't get a good chance at that.
I think we reached the right conclusion. I think this is the team.
I think so too, dude. So shout out to them. Again, it's interesting because you think about some of these other teams and they just had more cracks at it, right? Like even the 90s Suns on top of the 90s Sonics and the 90s Jazz. And the thing with the Rockets is it's like, man, the one year that it came together, they were right there, and then it fell apart. But for that one season, I do think they deserve to be here. Is there anyone who you wish we could have given a little bit more love to, Logan? Anybody who you wish could have gone a little bit further?
I mean, definitely. I wish the bracket had shaken out a little different for the 0-2 Kings. Obviously, I wish that Hallie could have gotten a chance in this. I think he would have got bounced by the 09 Cavs anyway. But, yeah, there's so many good teams in this bracket. The other two I'll mention, the 26 Spurs definitely could have gone further. I also think the 09 Magic had a chance to go further if they had gotten seeded out a little bit different. But in this round, the 26 Spurs, I actually think, are probably a team that got the worst draw.
Yeah, I would agree that they had the potential to go a little bit further. I also think the 2014 Clippers, for me, if they got a different draw, they definitely could have won a round. But overall, I actually think this shook out quite well, quite reasonably. I don't think too many teams really got screwed here, and think we wound up with pretty much the right teams at the end and the right team on top of the mountain. So a consolation prize to compensate for the fact that none of these teams actually ever won shit, but they win in the Nerd Sesh world.
And James Harden,
he has a ring.
Win the NIL. They effectively get a ring.
I mean, if it's the NIT of the all-time best team not to win it. Yeah, because you always got money on your mind. That's the thing with you, Logan. You're always thinking about that paper. Shout out to you, Chris. We would have gone to your Halloween party, and we're giving you an imaginary ring. So
send us an invite. We'll be there next year. Let us know. Actually, I got plans this year. Let me know in 2 years. I'll be there.
You have plans for Halloween already? Who are you, fucking Hugh Hefner?
Going to Steelers game. I'm going to dress up as the Steelers Pope.
That's pretty cool. The Steelers Pope. Who's
Have
that?
you seen that guy?
I've seen the Pope, but he's from Chicago.
There's a Steelers Pope. He dresses up like a Pope, but full Steelers garb. Glasses.
What does he preach?
Headdress.
Blocking?
I guess like smash
Receivers
mouth,
that can throw.
Running the ball and defense.
Hines Ward? Does he talk about Hines Ward's blocking a lot?
Heath Miller's probably a lot too.
How much does he talk about Mean Joe Green?
A lot.
How much does he talk about the trenches in general?
Ton of Alan Faneca talk.
Seems like a cool guy.
Big
Seems
trench.
Like I'd like to
he's big on the trenches.
get a beer with.
Oh, yeah,
All right,
definitely.
man. Well, I'm glad that you have those plans. Our plans hold many more delightful shows for you guys this summer. We hope that you are enjoying the brackets and the all-time rankings and the trivia and all that stuff in this off season. And we will see you guys very soon with more of it. You know where to find it all. All of our full episodes on YouTube, and you can listen across all audio platforms, and you can follow us across social at NerdSesh on Instagram and TikTok, and Nerd_Sesh on Twitter for our daily content there. And with that, we appreciate you all oh so much. I've been Carson Brabber.
I have been Logan Camden.
And this was NerdSesh.